Hey y'all, welcome back to A Dinosaur in the Library. I'm Dawn, and I have got a heck of a stack of wrap-ups here tonight. So, as I said before, in a couple of videos ago, I'm going through my bookshelves and reading a shelf at a time, and I'm going to try to do a wrap-up at the end of each shelf, unless there's a ton of books on that shelf, in which case I'll do a couple. This one's going to be kind of long, but I'm going to try to break up some of the other longer ones. And I'm going to kind of do it... talk about them a little bit based on the number of stars I gave them on Goodreads, and I probably won't do a whole lot of talking about most of them except my 5-star reads. So the first thing I have are 2 1-star reads, and the first of these is Thomas Ligotti, Songs of a Dead Dreamer, and Grimscribe. And as you can see, I did not finish this. I did leave my bookmark in because I may finish it in the future. This is one that I really didn't enjoy so far, but I'm wondering if maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it, so I am going to keep it. I'm not going to get rid of this one, and I'm going to try again at a later date. Short stories, it's part of, obviously, the Penguin Classics editions, and I was very excited about this, but I don't know. This next one is going to be kind of shocking to some people, because I know this is quite a popular book, or it was for a while, and that's House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. This is also a 1-star, and it is definitely a DNF. I love the actual, if you've read these, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's 2 kind of separate stories going on. I love the story in the house, about what's going on, but all the other crap around it was just annoying, and most of the time I felt like it was weird simply for the sake of being weird. And I like weird fiction. I absolutely do, but not when it really doesn't have a place, and I just really did not feel like this had a place in this at all. And I think if he had just stuck to writing a horror story about the house, it would have been an excellent book, but such as it is, 1-star DNF, and will not pick back up. That one is just absolutely done. I did not like it. I didn't have any 2-star reads. My 3-star reads included Ray Russell's The Case Against Satan. This is a precursor to The Exorcist, and it wasn't bad. Another one of the Penguin Classics, recent classic horror release that they did. And yeah. The next one is one that I got free from Quirk Books. I think I won this one in a giveaway pack. This may have been my Quirk's. This was from Quirk's Giving. Yes. And I unboxed this, I do think. And that's Night of the Living Trekkies. Just zombie book. Zombie apocalypse happened during a Trek convention. It was interesting, but it had a lot of problems, and I wasn't a real fan of the ending, so 3 stars. Oh, and this one is by Kevin David Anderson and Sam Stahl. Sorry. The next one kind of made me sad, and that is Stephen King's End of Watch. This is the 3rd book in the series, and I can never remember, the Bill Hodges trilogy. And I just really wasn't as much of a fan of the ending again of this. I did like a lot of what he did with the story. It being the 3rd one in the series, I'm really not going to talk about this a lot. But I really enjoyed the 1st and 2nd ones, but this one I enjoyed a little less. It just seemed like the ending was odd. It just wasn't as compelling for me. The next one is another end of a trilogy that was semi-disappointing, and that is Selim the Preacher. This is Selim number 3 by Scott Nicholson. I love Scott Nicholson. He writes horror novels, and a lot of them are set in the Appalachians, as this series is. Again, 3rd in a series, not really going to talk about it a whole lot, but again, the ending. Really did not think the ending fit the story. The first 2 books I thought were great. I really liked the trajectory it was on, and up until the very end of this one, I was down, and then it kind of crashed. Not horribly. I mean, it was a 3-star read. Scott Nicholson is an excellent author, and I love his work, but the ending of this was just... it didn't seem as good as his writing usually is, and that bothered me a bit, but it's a good trilogy regardless. Even if the ending of this one is a little off, it's definitely worth a read. The next one, another horror book. As you can tell, this was the main part of the horror shelves. That's Josh Malerman's The Bird Box, or Bird Box. And this one was floating around BookTube quite a bit. And really enjoyed it. I liked the writing. I liked the story. It was really creepy. Not scary, but, you know, creepy. I did not, however, care for some things, and I don't want to talk about this one too much because I don't want to give a whole lot away, but I'll just say that it wasn't wrapped up to my satisfaction. It seems like the endings are really what are getting me in these books. And like I said, I really enjoyed this, but I was wanting more out of the ending than I got. We'll say that. It doesn't leave cliffhangers or anything like that, but I just wasn't as happy with it as I wanted to be, given the people that I've seen talk about it and the reviews that I've read. The next one is the third in that Horror Penguin Classics collection. That's Charles Beaumont's Perchance to Dream Selected Stories. Of the three of them, this is the one I enjoyed the most, but there were a couple of stories in here that were really problematic for me. I think this is the right one. Yeah, there's a story in here, and this is, if you don't want to hear spoilers, please look away, and when I put the book down, I'll be done talking about it. But there's one in here I really want to talk about. It's called You Can't Have Them All, and it's about this guy who claims he has a, quote, sickness that means he needs to have every beautiful woman he sees. And so he figures out, using this computer, it's back in the 60s or earlier, how many women fall within his parameters. So above 18, below the age of, I think it was 40, apparently white, lived in North America basically, and slight racist overtones there, I guess. But aside from that, he then discovers, oh, wait a second, it's going to be kind of hard to do this if they're not willing. So I will give him kudos for the tiny nod to consent. However, he essentially comes up with a formula that is a reverse roofie. So roofies knock you out, and this makes you hypersexual. So he slips it to the women, who then cannot help themselves, and they commence to having sex or whatever. And then he goes on about his list, and the story is framed by him telling this to a doctor. And again, these are spoilers, so close your ears if you don't hear it. It's framed by him telling the story to a doctor who is helping him in a hotel room where he has passed out because this is the last woman on his list. If he does not finish it in a certain amount of time, he has to start over because people who are outside his parameters will be coming of age, and he'll have to start all over, and he can't do it because essentially, pardon my French, he's fucked himself basically to death near about. And, you know, the doctor turns out to be the last woman's husband. And he thinks that this guy has been stepping out with his wife the whole time because he's super duper crazy jealous. And he essentially makes sure that the guy can't finish his list. And he gets his comeuppance. He dies. But he doesn't get it for the right reasons, if that makes any sense. So it really pissed me off. And had the rest of the stories been any worse, this would definitely have been a lower rating. I did, however, quite enjoy the other stories in the book, but that one really, really bothered me. I was not happy with it at all. And, you know, I will say it was written in the 60s or whatever, but that's not really an excuse. It was just not a good story, and it really hocked me off. So if anybody else has read this, let me know what you think about it, but that story still bothers me. The last of my 3-star books is Christopher Rice's The Moonlit Earth, thriller, mystery-ish book. And I absolutely loved Christopher Rice's, I can't remember the names of the books. That's great. A Density of Souls and The Snow Garden. And those are the other 2 books of his that I've read. I really liked those. This is a slightly different book, but I didn't enjoy it as much as his others. I don't feel like it was as good to me. I still did enjoy it. I gave it 3 stars. It's Christopher Rice. He's amazing, and he's an amazing human being. If you don't follow him on Facebook, you're really missing out because he's hilarious. But I just felt like A Density of Souls and Snow Garden were better written. And yeah, so if you've read this, let me know what you think about it, but I really didn't think this was as good as he usually is. Alright, I got quite the stack of 4-star books, so it was a pretty decent reading shelf, but you know. So the first one is The Last American Vampire by Seth Grahame-Smith. This is a follow-up to Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which I quite enjoyed, and I quite enjoyed this one as well. It was a pretty good read. Then I read Dark Places and Sharp Objects, both by Gillian Flynn. No, I have not read Gone Girl yet because for some reason we don't have a print copy of it, and I haven't read anything on the Kindle. And I don't think we have it on Kindle, actually. So that's one I need to get at some point. I did enjoy both of these. I preferred... Which one was it? I preferred Dark Places to Sharp Objects, but I thought they were both really good. I just felt like the plot in Dark Places was better. It was just a better read to me. The next book I have is Apocalypse Cow. This is excellent. It won the Terry Pratchett Prize a while back, and an epidemic is released into the cow population, turning them into insane zombie-like creatures. There is a sequel to this which I really want to get. It's called World War Moo, and I really enjoyed this. It says, forget the cud, they want blood. And I really liked this. I thought that most of the characters were really well drawn. There were some of them that I was kind of like, I could have done without them, but for the most part, this was really fun, and I'm looking forward to getting to read the second one. The next book is the second book in the Solemn series, The Narrow Gate. I thought this was an excellent book. I thought it was a really good follow-up to the first one, which is The Scarecrow, which I read quite a while back. So it's not in this video, but this was definitely excellent. I was much more pleased with this one than the third one. The next one is Silk by Caitlin Kiernan. I really loved The Red Tree, which I read a couple of years ago. I did not enjoy this one as much in terms of plot, but her writing is so good and the characters are so well drawn that I just couldn't give it less than 4 stars. It has a really deep, like, Poppy Z Bright sort of vibe. If you've read Wormwood or oh my gosh, I can't even remember. Lost Souls, Drawing Blood. If you've read any of those, it kind of has that vibe, and it's absolutely worth the read. It's set mostly in Birmingham, Alabama. Yes, for Southern horror. And she's a lesbian, so there are queer characters in this. Yay for queer representation in horror, and it's done nicely. So that I definitely gave it kudos for, and that's probably why it's got 4 stars instead of less, simply because her writing is amazing. I love the queer representation. Check this one out for sure, okay? Especially if you like Poppy Z Bright's books, okay? The next 2, both by Stephen King. First is Bizon of Bad Dreams, a short story collection. Not as good as some of his others, I don't think, but it's Stephen King, and I'm not sure the man can write a bad short story. There's some really good ones in here, though. Some excellent ones. There's one with a Kindle that I was absolutely over the moon for. It was such a good story, guys. So definitely check this one out. I didn't just give it 4 stars because it's Stephen King. I really did enjoy a lot of these stories. I just feel like maybe some of his earlier short stories are a little bit better, but this was really good. And I love this cover. It's just beautiful. And then the back is like this. So, and it's that really soft cover. You guys know what I mean. Oh, it's such a pretty book. Such a pretty book. And then my last 4-star book is Finders Keepers by Stephen King. This is the second in the Bill Hodges trilogy. This one I gave 4 stars to. I enjoyed this one just about as much as I enjoyed the first one, which is Mr. Mercedes. It's got a really great plot. There's a really great sort of tie-in to what was going on in the first one. It continues well. The characters are still great. It's definitely, I think, better than the third one, honestly. The third one, like I said before, it has some of the good stuff that's in this series, but the ending just crashes for me. But if you liked Mr. Mercedes, you will like this one because you get a lot of stuff going on that continues the story, and you pick up with a lot of things that were happening. And it had been a really long time since I read Mr. Mercedes, but I didn't really have a whole lot of trouble picking this one up. So if you feel like you need to reread the first one, and that's why it's been keeping you from reading this one, I don't think you necessarily need to. I think there's enough backstory in here that you will pick up what you need to. And now on to my 5-star books, and I only have 3, and one of them I've already really talked about at length. That is Cosmic Hotel by the amazing Russ Franklin. I did an entire separate video on this one. I will link that below. As I said before, disclaimer, I do know him in real life. My battery is getting low. but the book is amazing. So check out my review of it, and if you haven't watched it already, and definitely go read this one. The next one is Anya Allborn's Within These Walls. Creepy, kind of horror-ish, thriller-ish sort of book. I absolutely loved this. It's got a serial killer, and this guy is a true crime writer, and he takes this deal from a serial killer who has refused to talk to anybody to come out and live in the house in which the murders happened, and the guy is supposed to tell him his story, but then all this really messed up stuff starts happening, and the truth comes out, and it is nothing like anybody thought it was. So I really, really loved this book. I did not see a lot of the stuff coming, which is rare for me because I usually do pick up on stuff pretty easily. I really, really loved this, and I'm actually kind of excited to hunt down some more of hers. I think my wife has read another one of her books and really liked it. I can't remember what the name of it is. The Bird Eater, I think, and I don't know what that one's about, but the writing in this one was so good, and the story was so good that it's going to be an auto read for me anytime I see her stuff. So definitely check this one out. And the last one is one that is no stranger to anybody on BookTube, I don't think, at this point. That is Paula Hawkins' The Girl on the Train. It took me forever to read this. We've had it since it came out. But let's not talk about all the books on my shelves I haven't read yet, y'all. This was excellent. And I know it's one of those books that you either love or hate, apparently. Or you either, it's not really you love or hate, it's more like you love or it's eh. And at first, I thought it was going to be kind of a meh, but there were a lot of twists in this, and I really did enjoy it, and I really love unreliable narrators, and this book has unreliable narrators for days. Oh my god, if you like unreliable narrators, from the universe to you, this is your gift, because full of nothing but unreliable narrators. And the story's great. I love the writing. I'm kind of looking forward to anything else that she's gonna put out. So there's that. Okay, and that was a lot quicker than I thought it was gonna be, even though I'm running at 17 minutes now. So I hope that this quick wrap up was cool, and if you've read any of these, please let me know below. What did you think of them? And I have gone ahead and started on my second shelf. However, I will say that the second shelf is probably going to take me a lot longer than the first one did, simply because I have a whole lot of stuff going on. I did pass my prelim exams, so that means I've got a lot more work piling up. I got to get ready for fall semester. I've got a lot of stuff going on. I did get, I don't remember if I said this before, I did get the Point Foundation Scholarship. I am a member of that program now, which is very exciting, and I'm actually going to make a whole video on that. But I have stuff I need to do for that. I have to get ready to go to a conference later this month. And actually, my partner of 19 years and I are finally getting legally hitched this Thursday. So I've got a lot of stuff going on, guys. But I'm going to do my best to try to keep up my momentum this summer and get some more of these read and get some more of these wrap-ups done, because I definitely want to read through some of my backlog here. I'm currently reading The Map of Chaos by Felix J. Palma and absolutely loving it. So I'll talk more about that later, and I will see you guys hopefully soon in a new video, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. And if you're in the US, have a happy and safe 4th of July weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.